Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the third lecture of the week 2 of the course Artificial Intelligence in Industrial Management Engineering, and I am Professor Deepafule from IIT Kanpur, and we have been discussing the decision making aspects, the business intelligence, and what are the simplest ways to AI and how AI is considered or perceived in the business world. Okay. So, now let us continue the topic. Let us talk about AI, the abused word in business today. So, let us use a statement by Andrew Moore. Okay. So, Andrew Moore stated that AI is the science and engineering of making computers behave in ways that until recently we thought required human intelligence. Okay. So, that is the statement. So, this is one way that Andrew Moore has very clearly said that AI is the science and engineering of making computers behave in ways. So, recently until this point we thought that it required human intelligence. Okay. So, one of the things, it is a balance of engineering, okay, which is technology in this regard, and science. Okay. And science, I would say it has theoretical interest. Okay. Then the second part is it should encompass or balance the unrestricted, which is the theoretical aspects to restricted, which is the technological limitations. You may require a quantum chip to do something, but as of now the chip does not exist, hence. Okay. Then there is something also called as aspirations. Okay. Achieve capabilities that machines do not have. And humans have. Then also other aspect we need to think about it is, it was coined, this word AI was coined to refer to the aspiration of realizing software and hardware possessing human level intelligence. Okay. Which is another word is human imitative AI. Okay. So, the idea is that it is the aspiration of realizing or achieving software and hardware possessing human level intelligence. Okay. That is why the artificial intelligence word was coined even. Now, the ML or the machine learning, the other word, okay, which some of the aspects we need to talk about, especially in this business area or the management side. Most of what is AI today has been called machine learning or ML for past several decades. Okay. Whatever we call AI today has been there. Okay. So, ML, what is it? An algorithmic field that blends ideas from statistics, computer science, operation research, and other disciplines to design algorithms that processes data, make predictions to assist in the decision making. Okay. So, if you think about it, the logic is that the ML is an algorithmic field that blends ideas from statistics, computer science, operation research and other disciplines like psychology, sociology, etc. also. And why do we do that? So that we can design algorithms that can process data, make predictions to facilitate the decision making. So, most of the AI that we call today are ML related one. Then came the field of data science. Data science emerged. Okay. Need for ML algorithms to partner with databases and distributed systems to build scalable, robust, mission critical ML systems. Okay. So, algorithms, need for new algorithms that partner with databases. Okay. Databases means I am calling the experts of the databases, and the distributed system, again experts, okay, to build scalable, robust and mission critical ML systems. Okay. Why do we need those? Main applications in fraud detection, supply chain, in the business world I am talking about, consumer services, forecasting, healthcare, etc. Okay. So, the idea here is that if you take this as the AI space, okay, then you can call it as this will be the ML space, and in this small will be the DL, the deep learning, what we call it as, okay, it's part of it. So, even though the AI space is much larger than what we talked about, okay, the ML or the deep learning is a small component of it. Okay. Now, there is one more concept that I want to introduce to you guys, because in the process we will actually require this, okay, the strong and weak AI. Okay. So, the strong AI, okay, so the logic is that given enough processing power as a precondition, and intelligence it is possible to create a computer that can think and is conscious like human being. This is the concept of the strong AI, right. Again, second part is the problem solving of a system depends on a great deal of knowledge about its world and problems that it can encounter. So, the strong AI thinks that, or the philosophy is that if you have unlimited processing power and intelligence, then you can create a computer that can think like a human being and have the consciousness of a human being. Okay. And the logic there also is that your problem solving depends heavily on knowledge about the world and also the type of problems it can encounter. Now, about the weak AI, okay. Weak AI is a simple view that intelligent behavior can be modeled and used by computers for complex problem solving. Okay. So, an intelligent behavior can be modeled and used by computers for complex problem solving, a very simpler view, okay, much simpler. Uses methods like logic, automated reasoning, and general structure for a wide variety of problems. Okay. That is the second aspect of it. It is a much simpler viewpoint at this point. Okay. All right. Now, the other thing is, lot of the time the technology, how the technology progresses, and usually the marketing or the management jargon also plays an important role. Okay. So, let us ask this question. Okay. What was Google working on? Working in, okay, around 2011, around 2014, around 2017, around 2020. Okay. So, let us see what was Google working on. 2011 it was big data, 2014 it was machine learning, then 2017 it was artificial intelligence, okay. In 2020 it was artificial general intelligence. Okay. So, one caution I would like to give everybody as part of it is the easiest way to indicate novelty. The easiest way to indicate novelty is to change the name of the field itself. Change the name of the field itself. Okay. Here you go. All right. So, I just wanted to make you guys aware of this. Okay. Let us talk about some ML terminologies or machine learning terminologies. Okay. And these terminologies are critical for us in the coming lectures or coming aspects when it comes in. The first one is what we call as supervised learning. Okay. There are many aspects, there are chapters written on it, but I am just trying to put a nutshell as part of it. The fundamental thing is data is labeled. Okay. Then the aspect is that if the data is categorical data, use classification algorithms. Continuous data, use regression. Okay. That is a simple logic. Then comes the unsupervised learning. Okay. Data is unlabeled. Okay. That is the difference between supervised learning and unsupervised learning. Data is unlabeled. Okay. The idea is that make sense by putting into clusters, okay, which is also known as clustering, okay, or reduce dimensions, okay, or which is known as dimension reduction. That is the second aspect when it comes to unsupervised learning. Then comes the third one, semi supervised learning. Okay. Contains both labeled and unlabeled data. Okay. So, how do you deal with that? So, that is something that we will discuss about. There are many other tools, many ML techniques available in this. Okay. So, why this is both of them? People want performance for cheap, I would say. Okay. That is just a statement for the time being, right. Then comes something called reinforced learning. Okay. Learning with feedback or a reinforcement signal. Okay. That is the other one. Okay. So, an example, Markov process with memoryless property. Okay. So, drunkards walk, those kind of things are part of the reinforced learning. So, as long as you have a feedback signal, you can use that feedback signal to learn. Then something called as the recommendation engine. Recommendation engine. Okay. That is algorithm that finds patterns in historical data. Okay. Why does it find patterns? To give accurate and meaningful recommendations. Meaningful recommendations. Okay. So, these are the 5 major things that we talk about in this course. Different examples, different domains we will work on this. And the first one is supervised learning. As I said, the data is completely labeled. Categorical data use classification algorithms, continuous data use regression. Many methods are available. It is reasonably well defined and well growing field. Unsupervised learning, data is completely unlabeled. So, you either use clustering or use reduced dimensions by dimension reduction. Then semi supervised learning is contains both labeled and unlabeled data. So, you tend to use multiple a mix or a potpourri of models to deal with this problem. Then comes the reinforced learning, which is there is a feedback or a reinforcement signal that is available. So, that actually helps you to learn and based on which you take decisions. An example of this is the Markov chain or Markov process, which actually has a memoryless property, which means it only depends upon what happened previously before. If you want to talk about it, study about Poisson process. Then comes the last one is a recommendation engine. So, you have a past historical data using which you have actually you identify patterns out of the historical data, and using that historical data and the patterns out of it try to make meaningful recommendations. Okay. So, now to conclude today's things, okay, or today's concepts, and before we start on working on a hands on experience, we do a small exercise in the class to go through some of those things. There are 5 critical questions that we need to ask when it comes to machine learning. The first question is, what is the nature of the data? What is the nature of the data? Is it labeled? Is it not labeled? Is it mix of label and unlabeled? Is it a large historical data that is available in which you are only interested in patterns, etc.? That is the first question. Okay. So, second is, what is the size of the data? First is the nature, size of the data. Okay. Then such a second one, how big or how large, how many data points. Okay. Third one, what is the quality of the data? The fourth question is, what are the hardware options available to process data and run the model? Okay. So, what hardware options are available to process the data and run the model? Okay. Then the fifth one is, what is your hypothesis? Okay. Or in a better way, what are you trying to find? Okay. So, these 5 questions, okay. The first one is the nature of the data, it focuses on the data. The first 3 questions, okay, is focuses on data, and the first one is the nature of the data, second is the size of the data, third one is the quality of the data. Okay. So, nature, size and quality are the 3 first things, 3 questions that you ask first. Then the fourth one is, this is about the hardware or what we call as the technology that is available. Okay. What is the hardware options that is available? Okay. whether it is a CPU, whether it is a GPU, how much of memory, is it a cluster, is it a parallel processing, all those aspects come as part of it. Okay. Then the last one is what is your hypothesis or what are you trying to find. This is related to decision or what are you trying to do. Okay. That is the fifth question as part of this. These 5 questions are critical for the machine learning, because as I mentioned earlier, whether you go with supervised learning, unsupervised learning, semi-supervised, reinforced, recommendation, whatever it is, these 5 questions, okay, it will be critical as part of it. Okay. So, before we conclude, let us just look at an example and we will solve this example in the next class. So, let us say that there is 5 critics, okay, of movie critics: Ram, Sita, Matthew, Geeta and Jenny. Okay. So, these are the 5 critics 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and there are 4 movies. Okay. This is critic and this is movies. Okay. There are 4 movies: Star Wars, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Casablanca and Roman Holidays. Okay. There are 5 critics and 4 movies. If you take Ram gave 4 stars to Star Wars, 4 stars to Raiders of the Lost Ark, 1 star to Casablanca, 2 stars to Roman Holidays. Sita gave 5 stars to Star Wars, 4 stars to Raiders of the Lost Ark, 2 to Casablanca, 1 to Roman Holidays. Matthew gave 2 stars each to Star Wars and Raiders of the Lost Ark, but gave 4 stars to Casablanca and 3 to Roman Holidays. Geeta gave 2 stars to Star Wars, 1 to Raiders of the Lost Ark, but 3 stars for Casablanca and 4 for Roman Holidays. And Jenny has given 5 stars to Star Wars and given 2 stars to Roman Holidays, but she has not given any rating or not seen Raiders of the Lost Ark and Casablanca. Okay. So, this is data that is given to us, okay, to a large extent. In a way, you can call this as labeled data. The question we have is, or what I want to do is, okay, first thing is, how can an algorithm use this data set to recommend movies? The first thing you need to think through and find a solution is, how can an algorithm use this data set to recommend movies? Second one is, how would you do it? Okay. So, these are the 2 questions that are critical to you. How can an algorithm use this data set to recommend movies, and if you have to do it, how would you do it? So, think over it, and when you come to the next lecture, we will solve this problem by giving you pointers, or not solve, actually give you ideas of solving this problem, and there are many ways to solve this example problem. So, let us I will let you guys go today with this simple data set and think about how to come up with a solution to it, and more details we will discuss in the next class. Thank you for your patient hearing. Thank you.